Today on Spotlight, I have a game here called OlliOlliWorld, the third game in the Olli series. That's what the press site says anyway. And that doesn't really mean anything to me because this is my first Olli game. I don't know how the others played. I just wanted to jump into this one and see how an unassuming newbie like me can enjoy this game without any previous knowledge. I was given a code for this thanks to Roll7 in Private Division, so thank you very much, guys, for the generosity. The game just got an official release, so I guess that we're looking to generate some buzz here, but at the end of the day, it's your money to spend, so you be the judge on that. Also playing this on PlayStation 5 just for that added clarity. There exists the land of Radlandia, a skater utopia created by the skate gods, spelled with a Z, and now they await one lucky skater to achieve their state of tranquility, I guess, and reach Nirvana. Lots of playful skater lingo that I simultaneously find adorable and alienating because I ain't a skater. I'm that guy in the group that goes, gods aren't spelled with a Z. The character design reminded me less of Rocket Power, if you remember that show, but more like Adventure Time. Although I was also informed that the design was straight out of a Walmart training video and sucked the fun right out of the room with that revelation. Although that was something I did like in Going Under since it served the aesthetic and theme of the game well. I did a spotlight of that game some time ago that I ended up deleting because of the association of who gave me the code for that game. Even if it had nothing to do with Aggro Crab directly, the video was it just left a bad taste in my mouth. So I plan on redoing that video, maybe not as a spotlight, but as a versus video, because I feel that's ultimately not fair for the devs of the game who had nothing to do with the person in mind that I'm trying not to mention directly. So forgive me on that one. Anyway, the vibe of Olli, I know, how the fuck do you segue out of that one? The vibe of OlliOlliWorld is cozy and relaxing, accompanied with the soundtrack that changes on a whim, and filled with a bunch of what I attribute to like lo-fi beats. I'm not entirely sure of all the genres that the soundtrack covers, but I know it's supposed to make you mellow out and just go with the flow. In that way, I think it succeeds. My only complaint stems from the character animations. The stuttering between the frames, I think it just looks unnatural, and every time it happens, I think the game is hanging or something isn't loading correctly. Also, is this just going to be part of our future now where the game opens up with an obnoxiously long terms of service agreement that you can't skip? You have to like scroll through the entire thing and hit accept after it's all done? Like, I know folks gotta do the legal thing, but this is just fucking annoying. It only lasts like 10, 15 seconds at most, but couldn't have been placed in options left to the player's discretion to read at their own time. Nobody's reading it. I can tell you that right. Nobody's actually reading this entire laundry list of shit that you have placed in front of us. I'm like, so why bother? I don't know. You got legal reasons. Legal reasons. You play as a skater that you can customize to your heart's content. Different hats, different hoodies, safety gear, and all that jazz. Me, being the unoriginal numbnuts, just went with a virtual version of myself, which is funny as shit to see in action because my ass would never be caught doing shit like this. This is a guy whose only skateboarding experience is coasting down one street that wasn't even that steep using a skateboard that wasn't even his. You want to know when it gets accurate? It's whenever I eat shit after failing a land. You're joined by a couple of friends. You got Mike, the big oaf, who loves to challenge you with different tricks. Probably rocked his head a couple of times in his earlier days. Definitely ate some paint chips at least. Then you got Suze, the dry smartass, who's also the group's token atheist because everyone's got that friend in their group. You know you do. Then there's Dad, who's not really anyone's dad, he's just called Dad. But he's like the dorkiest member of the group, trying his best to fit in with the crowd, but also keeping the safety of everyone in mind, like a good dad would. Finally, there's Chiffon. She's the entire reason you're here because she sees potential in you and wants you to become the next skate wizard. One of those walk the earth, very spiritual characters that spends their off time likely smoking a shitload of pot. OlliOlliWorld doesn't take long to get formulaic. Very much like the game it's probably referencing in its name, you go stage to stage in this overworld, completing different levels, getting some flavor text of the day as you listen to your crew be funny for half a minute, discovering alternate pathways and completing additional side quests so you can get more things like different gear for your character, or maybe just extra levels, or you just do it for completion purposes. A standard form of progression you've seen a million times at this point, but that doesn't make it any less welcoming. I admit by the second world I was growing a bit blasé with the dialogue. I just wanted to move on to the next stage to see what waited for me there. The repetition was starting to set in at that point. With the gameplay, no, that is where the real fun lies, and that was like the main appeal for me when I first caught the trailer. It's a fast, sometimes very fast, action platformer where you ride a skateboard and use momentum to zip down steep hills, grind on rails, grind on walls, doing all sorts of tricks to build up points or complete one of the many challenges given to you by Mike, or taking alternate pathways the game calls gnarly routes to unlock side quests and get more out of the game's story, or get some additional cosmetics for your character. It tickled my sonic bone, you could say. I do enjoy fast platformer, at least when it's designed well enough. If there's one way to describe OlliOlliWorld, though, it's springy, Anticipation is also a word that comes to mind because despite being a platformer, it's a very unorthodox platformer. You're on a skateboard that you move forward by pressing a button to kick your feet and get it going. So you're not just, you're not holding forward on a direction. You have to kick in order to get it moving. And kicking at the right time will get you more speed, which is needed in order to cross larger than normal jumps. Instead of pressing a dedicated button to jump, you have to flick the left stick in a direction and then let it go to get the character to jump. That's where the springiness stems from in my eyes. And in a very reactionary game like this, I think it works, but there was a lot of muscle memory to fight playing this. I've played a million platformers in my life, and not needing to press a face button to do a simple jump was tough. Very tough to fight against, and that led to my fair share of eating shit. The entire first world is dedicated to teaching you the basic mechanics, but shit, even in the second world, you're learning about performing a land. It's like, landing? Don't you think you should have taught me that sooner? But I think OlliOlliWorld does great in teaching players the main gist of the gameplay, but ultimately leaving it up to you to decide how you rack up those points and complete challenges. You can just play the stage and reach the end to progress. Nothing story-wise is really locked behind point gates besides a couple of side quests, and those from what I understand are just for cosmetics and achievements. It's a game you can play to see more of the world's characters and bask in the aesthetic of it all, and it's something you can play on repeat to get higher scores and achieve self-satisfaction. At points, yeah, I did get caught up in endlessly hitting the repeat button to get past a certain obstacle when I found myself so close to getting past it. It just gnaws at your soul that you're right there, but you're just not there yet. But it gets to a point where it's like, John, baby, you don't have all the time in the world. You gotta get this video out sometime this century. Time to move on, dude. The race against the bear in the river, though, I mean, that bear can take the gold for all I care because goddamn, it's not even a race. I'm the one doing all the skateboarding and this dude's just zooming through the river on a tube, minding his own business. I enjoyed my time with this, though, and there's still a ton of stuff I ended up not doing. Not to mention the game is getting an expansion later this year, so OlliOlliWorld is looking for that long-term investment from the player. The base price is $30 though, and if we're just going by the normal level-to-level gameplay, I think that's a bit steep, but considering the large amount of unlockables and the customization offered to the player and the robust trick system, I think you could do a lot worse, but again, it's all up to you. Well, whatever you decide to do, you can find more info in the game in the description below if you'd like to. Once again, thanks to Roll7 for the code. I will see you guys in the next video, be it Spotlighter versus otherwise. Here's the end screen to catch more if you fancy. Thank you all for watching, have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care.